Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.
Kojo upon Nkrumah aye mrashe bedweni ma kojo any friends simple Ofuasin Ayariga Osanso minister in charge of information Twitwen. We're talking about Boko. And when you talk about Boko, you can't talk about Boko without mentioning a man called Mahama Ayariga, Member of Parliament, Boko. Good morning, Mr. Ayariga.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Very well. I haven't seen you in a million years.
I know. We need to catch up.
We need to. How have you been?
I'm okay.
Great,
it's
great.
been tough, but we're hanging in there.
Exactly the reason why I'm calling you. The toughness of it all.
Yeah.
What is happening in Boko? Talk to me. Yesterday, there was a purported enskinment of a chief. And I don't know, the security situation and all that. It's your constituency. What's going on?
It's been unfortunate, but as you will know, the underlying issue in Boko is about the Kusasi people who are the landowners and in the overwhelming majority wanting to rule themselves. There's a pre-colonial history and then also a post-colonial history in which the chieftaincy has been moving from one ethnic group to the other until 1983 when the PNDC, sought to place it in the hands of Kusasi, which is consistent with what the colonial authorities themselves, who orchestrated Mampu's rule in Boko, when they were also living, they actually also sought to change it through Lord Listowell's committee so that it would be the Kusasi because they are the landowners and they are in the overwhelming majority. My uncles, the Mampuses, have been fighting this, God knows when. And unfortunately for them, we came under constitutional rule. You were right.
Yeah.
We came under constitutional rule, and then under constitutional rule, nobody can touch the institution of chieftaincy other than what it is now.
Yeah.
So the issue has been on and off, as you will know.
Yes.
Until yesterday, when they also decided to go to Nalerugu and then forcefully have themselves seen as a rival authority in the Bawku area. And the response of government says it all, which is basically that, look, you can't do this. It's unconstitutional, it's illegal, indeed it is criminal, and therefore we're asking the police authorities to deal with it as such. So that's a very apt response and summarizes what I think is the way that everybody should approach it, except to say that saying one thing and not doing it could actually be the cause of the problem. So when government takes the position that this is not right, it's not consistent with what our constitution dictates, and therefore anybody who carries himself about as a rival chief is committing a crime, and therefore the police should deal with that person. And that's there's no better position than that. The question is just enforcement.
Okay. Unfortunately, you mentioned that what happened yesterday forcefully. Why would anybody want to forcefully do what you just mentioned?
Well, I told you that they've been fighting over the years, demanding 10 left here, demanding that they should also be chiefs. They've been fighting over the years. So I think that the Nairi should have held the line for as long as possible, because for several decades now, he's held the line and resisted this pressure. I don't know why he has yielded to the pressure and then gone ahead to do what he has done.
What was it done with his consent?
Well, he was in the palace, and I don't know. At this advanced age, sometimes people lose control over situations. So,
Yeah.
being my grandfather, I am reluctant to go after him. But those who would have supervised this clearly haven't done well for the peace of the area. And it's now left to the government to be firm and ensure that the right thing is done, which is to enforce the law that states that the Kusasi should rule over the place.
You mentioned earlier history, politics, tradition, and all of that. I know for a fact that you belong to both sides.
Yeah.
I think your mother is what, Mamprusi, or your father is
Yes. Yes.
Your mother is
Mamprusi,
Mamprusi and your father is
correct.
Kusasi.
Yeah.
So you're caught in this mix. How does it feel for you? How are you able to reconcile yourself to all of this?
Well, I mean, it puts you in a difficult situation because when you speak and it doesn't favor your mother's, they say you're taking your father's side. When you speak and it doesn't favor your father's, then they say you're supporting your mother's. But there's the law and there's the politics of it and there's the political reality. The law, as it is now, stands in favor of the party, which is what the Constitution, what the Supreme Court has done, what PNDC Law 75 has ordained. It all goes in favor of Kusasi.
That's your father's side.
That's my father's side. Now, the political reality of it also, which is basically that, look, I mean, for Kusasi, this is like an anti-colonial struggle. When people are in the absolute majority, when they own the land, and there's no dispute about the fact of they owning the land.
That's the Kusasis.
The Kusasis. And then, there's also no doubt that at a certain point in history, Mamprushis were also chiefs in that area. Now, so the thing is that even if you were chiefs, as the British were in charge here, and in charge in most of Africa, and the French were in charge in most of Africa, and the Portuguese and all those colonial authorities, it gets to a point where the indigenous demand that, look, we want to handle our own welfare, we want to take care of ourselves, we want to rule over ourselves and our land. And when it gets to that time, you would have to come to terms with the political reality and admit that, the people have to be given the mandate to rule over themselves. And that's how I think the government and the law and the Constitution and the Supreme Court have sought to resolve the issue. Anytime I say this, my uncle will say, he's taking sides with his father's people. But it's not just that I'm taking sides, but it's just that that's the reality. And then I feel obliged to be truthful to them because, otherwise we are just descending into chaos. And unfortunately, on both sides, when there are casualties, it just turns out that I know everybody or they are related familiarly, and you don't benefit from the ongoing violence, and you don't think that it will change anyway. I mean, it will not change. You can do whatever you want to do. The Kusasi will insist on their autonomy and their right to rule themselves. Unfortunately, they have the backing of the law now, and they have the backing of the Constitution. They have the backing of government. People used to say, it was the NDC government that was backing them because of violence. But now the NPP government also, by word of mouth, backs them now. So on both sides of the political divide, there seems to be a consensus now that they should be allowed to rule themselves. So, increasingly, my uncles, the Mamprushis, are losing out. And, as hard as I try to explain to them that it's time to give up, they see me differently, and then I just run into trouble with them every day. But I will not give up on being realistic and being firm in terms of what the right thing is. Because ultimately, you don't accept to the peril of all of us.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Finally, if I may ask, I don't envy your situation at all. Your father is a Kusasi, your mother is a Mamprushi, and they are at each other's necks. Will we ever see calm in this area? You've been MP for years, you're a son of the soil. From your point of view, would we ever see calm?
Well, I mean, there shouldn't have been a problem if people were pursuing their claims using lawful means. Because you can dispute, even within the same family.
Yes.
There are disputes over who is the queen, who is the king, who is the chief. Well, so long as you do it using lawful means, people will generally not mind. It is when you resort to the use of violence that will be a problem. If they were challenging in court or houses of chiefs, the day they are going, we'll organize lawyer fair for them to go, and they will probably accompany them, go and sit in the gallery and observe proceedings, and go home and continue our lives. It is a choice of violence as a mechanism to vindicate claims that worries all of us. So, and violence hardly ever resolves any issue, because even when the substantive issue is no longer the real issue, then the fact of you having killed my brother becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And the fact that I haven't killed your sister becomes an issue. And even though we might forget about chieftaincy, we might not forget about our brothers and sisters who were killed by people that we know. And we have to live with the same people in the same community and have children, and our children will grow in the same community and learn that their uncles and aunties were killed by each other. So that is, for me, the worry. And that is why, even after all this, we'll have to deal with the trauma of the level of violence that we have seen in Boko.
Yeah. Whew. I wish you well, Mahama. I wish you well.
Thanks, my brother. So let's catch up.
Sure, we'll do. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Mahama Ayariga, MP, Boko Central. Peace.
Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.